Hey guys, Casey here from Stand Proud Canine Training. So in this video we're going to be showing you some introduction into the prong collar, which is the primary collar that we use. About 99.9% of the dogs that we do training with is on a prong collar. There's only a few dogs that I can think of that we actually didn't go with the prong collar. We went with either a slip lead or just the e-collar by itself. So the kind that we use is the Herm Sprenger collar, and this one is very high quality, very nice chrome plated type of collar. And what I like about these also is they actually go through the process of rounding off the tips of these guys. Some other of the cheaper made collars, they just cut off the ends and it leaves a sharp jagged edge on it, and that's the last thing that we want to be putting on our dogs. So this is a nice rounded edge, and that's always what we try to look for, some nice high quality type of collars. And you see the difference here. This one has the little prongs going in either direction. So when it closes, there's an even distribution of pressure, right? So a lot of the common mistakes that we see when people come in and they've already had their prong collars on, or they've tried to do prong collar training before, is either the collar is just way too big in the sense that it hangs down here, it's really loose. The proper positioning of this guy is to be nice and high and snug at the top of the neck, right behind the ears and under the chin. So some dogs are in between sizes. In a perfect world, you'll get the prong collar, you can take a few links out and it's going to be a perfect size. But if they're in between sizes, then you're just going to have to mess with the collar, make sure that you're constantly moving it up, so this way it is in that right position and not dangling all the way down here. And another one of the mistakes that we see is also a gauge that is too big. So gauge wise, as in the actual size of the prongs. So just because you have a Mastiff doesn't mean you need to get the large or the extra large. The ones that we primarily use are the small, which is the 2.25, and the medium, which is this one, and that is the 3.0. So you can see the difference in the gauges there, and these are the primary ones that we use. So even on big old Mastiffs, we find that the 3.0 works perfectly fine with that. And the last mistake that we see a lot of people doing, and there are some other ones but they escape me right now, is that we see a lot of them with the prong on and the dog is in front of them pulling, and the dog is just very disengaged. So if this is on your dog and the dog is just pulling at the end of this, that's not how these are meant to be used, and that's actually counterproductive. You're not really teaching your dog anything by holding them back with this kind of collar. And with another part of that, now I'm going to have a bunch of things just popping into my head, so excuse me for jumping back and forth to different things. But you can see there are these two little mechanisms here. So this is the D-ring, this is the swivel, which is the one that the actual leash connects to. And this is the O-ring, or the dead ring. This is the one that I'll show you in just a second how to attach a carabiner to it, so this way we can have some backup safety. We don't want to connect the leash to this one. That's not going to work. So you can see I'm giving it some pulls here and it's not releasing. We always want the collar to release. So if I pull it by the little swivel snap, which is where we're supposed to be attaching the leash, you can see it's a nice fluid motion. With the O-ring, not so much. So always make sure that we're double checking and we are putting it on this one, because even when I go through this, some of my clients still come in and they put it on this guy and it's really obvious to tell. So always make sure before you go out or you do training or you go on a walk, always make sure that it's on the right snap here. All right, so go ahead and put that there. And let me just show you how to connect and disconnect these collars. Like I mentioned earlier, we want it to be nice and high on the neck, and if this is fitting over your dog's head, that's way too loose. We always want to be able to connect it and disconnect it like a necklace. Let me show you real quick. The easiest way I find to disconnect it is I put the little prong against my finger, I push down with my thumb, and then I can just wiggle it off. And when you put it back on, there's a plane passing overhead. When we want to put the prong back on, you can see these two little holes. We're going to align the 2 points over those holes, pinch them, and it goes right in. We really want to avoid taking pliers to these. I had some of my clients do that in the past, and reason being is it'll never go back to the same shape if you put pliers to these guys, and if your dog shakes their head hard enough, the prong might actually pop off. So if they're rolling in the grass or something, it could also pop off that way, and that's the last thing that we want to happen. Another thing we want to avoid is putting the prong over and just trying to pull it into place. That's not gonna work. You're not gonna get very far doing that. There you go. So always make sure that we do pop it off and we put it back on. And this is a lot more skill-based than it is strength. All right, so now I'm going to get Cody here really quick and we'll show you the proper fitting of the collar.
Okay, so now what I'm going to be showing you guys how to do is how to actually fit the prong collar, where the proper positioning on that is, as well as how to attach a carabiner for some backup safety. So I'm going to have Cody come on over here. Sit. There's a good boy. So like I said, we're going to disconnect that like a necklace, and the easiest way that I find is to go up around in the front of the dog like this, and then we're going to connect the collar in the back here, just like that. This way, since he has a lot of fur, we can just kind of maneuver the fur around and move that around here, just like that. And just so you can see, it's nice and high up on the neck, and it's not super snug that I can't get a finger or two underneath the prong. This is super tight that you really have to cram your fingers under there, then it's way too tight. We might have to add another link at that point, so we don't want it to be super tight. That's the last thing that we want to do, is be choking our dogs. There we go. And so what I'm going to show you next is how to attach that carabiner. So remember, like I said, that leash always gets attached to the swivel snap. I'm going to connect that there. And I'm going to dig through his fur to find that O-ring, or that dead ring, which is this circle. So we're going to connect the carabiner onto the dead ring, like that. I'm going to move his collar this way, and then attach that to his buckle collar. So then what we're going to see is we're going to have two attachments, one to his buckle collar and one to the prong collar. And then we have the leash connected to the little swivel snap here. So just in case, if something were to happen here, to be rolling in the grass, or I didn't connect it right, that collar pops off, then here we're still connected to our dog with the carabiner. So obviously don't be walking your dog around like that. That's just as a backup, so you have time to go around and connect that collar on. Got your carabiner on for safety, your prong and your buckle collar, and then you're ready to go on your walk. Hi, so that was the intro to the prong collar video. I didn't realize that some of my footage didn't make it, so hence my change in wardrobe, having to refilm this. So like I said, the prong collar is the kind of collar that we use with 99% of the dogs that we do training. It's such an easy way to communicate with your dog. It really breaks down those walls in communication. And I mean, we've used it with dogs that are aggressive, dogs that are reactive, fearful, nervous. Every kind of dog can benefit from this collar. And if you know how to use it right, it opens up so many doors for people. So many of my clients that were never able to take their dogs out for walks, me included, they've just had that new world open to them with the use of this tool. So do your research, see what's gonna work best for you, give your dog a chance, and give these tools a chance. Because when you have the right tools, then your possibilities are endless with what you can do. This is Casey from Stand Proud Canine Training. Thanks for watching.